how do you find the middle ground between advertising trying to be the simplest and the most colloquial and that poetic sophistication?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of difference, as you say, like in sophistication, but there's a lot of common ground as well. If you think about the craft of poetry, which is, to try to say, a lot with a little,
With the rise of ChatGPT and similar generative AI models, do you think poetry's place in culture and in advertising is in any way endangered because of that?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all because poetry is a very personal art form.
Welcome to the podcast accompanying the 12th edition of Imagination Day, of which a partner is a Papaya Films. My name is Wojtek Kowalik. I'm a founder of Playground Warsaw. And today I'm speaking with Viton Araujo, the creative partner of Area 23 New York. Welcome to Warsaw.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So, I've just watched your keynote. Pretty fascinating. You're a poet.
Thank you.
And while listening to you, I had an impression that you were like a true poet, true artist. What I think about poetry is that it's really the most sophisticated manifestation of language. How do you find this? How do you find the middle ground between advertising trying to be the simplest and the most colloquial and that poetic sophistication?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of difference, as you say, like in sophistication, but there's a lot of common ground as well. If you think about the craft of poetry, which is, to try to say, a lot with a little, and this is also what we try to do in advertising, right? The 30 seconds, 15 seconds, 40 seconds we try to find the best words or the best ideas or the best emotions that can summarize, what the message is. So I think that's where the paths the paths cross, and I try to bring this kind of craft, with finding the irreplaceable word, finding the irreplaceable emotion, finding the irreplaceable message, and to really be concise, but also deep as much as we can, right? You can't be deep all the time in advertising, but sometimes we can, and I usually do that.
Yeah, I think this is a great answer because poetry in its sophisticated form, it can be super simple as well. In fact, the form is never given really. The creative process is what counts, and the emotional potential. The potential of evoking emotional reaction in people's heads, and this is exactly what we're trying to do in advertising. Now, that was the second question is something that you probably it's not going to surprise you. So with the rise of ChatGPT and similar generative AI models, do you think poetry's place in culture and in advertising is in any way endangered because of that?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all because poetry is a very personal art form. It depends on your experience, on your point of view. Everything. That your culture, your friends. Whatever happened in your life. So a poem is as important as as much as personal it is. So I don't think we are in danger, and we can use those tools not to create for us, not to write for us, but it won't replace our artist form of doing things. It just help us out with some things we don't want to do anymore.
I sometimes think about AI, and I have a feeling that although it is creative. It is creative. It's also very, it kind of like remixes existing things, and maybe I'll use a metaphor here. If you ask with AI to write a poem about how does the cheese taste like, it's gonna write you probably a decent poem about the taste of cheese. But the fact is, the AI never tasted cheese. It doesn't have this sensory experience. So, maybe somewhere down the road, the technology will get more advanced, more sophisticated, and will get better at it. But probably not yet. Um, Anyway, let's go to another question. And I'm a poet in pharma advertising. We already talked about poetry in advertising in general, right? But especially pharma advertising, with all its constraints, limits, um, uh, safe rails, um, uh, and let's face it, huge advertising agency that belongs to a huge, holding company, which is corporate environment, So how do you manage to create such great work as magnetic stories in that type of environment? Not that the environment is bad in any way, right? But it's definitely more challenging than just coming up with ideas as an artist.
Yes, no, definitely. Farm advertising, you have a lot of legal constraints. It's closely watched by legal, and you have like a lot of guardrails that you have to follow. But one thing I would say is that pharma and health, they deal with something really powerful, which is sometimes the life and death, the health. So these are themes that you can find in theater, you can find in poems, you can find in books, because it deals with our deepest fears, our deepest questions about the world, and I tried. Of course, you can't do deeper conversation all the time. But we at Area 23 have this reputation of really always trying and pushing and trying that one client, that one work, that one job every month or every 6 months or every year, that we can push it forward, that we can question these emotions, and hopefully, like magnetic stories, try to change the experience of care when we can, with creativity, with storytelling and poetry.
And it also changed the experience of poetry itself. You've pretty much invented a new form for poetry, right? You used, a very scary technology, right?
Yes.
Very,
Have you ever been to an MRI machine?
yes, but only with my knee, and it was already enough,
Oh, just your knee?
yeah, just the knee. So, the most of my body was outside, right? And it still was
Oh,
damn scary,
man, I've been
Yeah.
into that tube and it's just frightening.
Mhm.
It's just like it's small, it's tight, but it's all those noises. And if you think about it, if it's horrible for me, for us, like imagine like a kid,
Yes.
with cancer, and we talk with them, we interview them a lot, and I say like one kid, she had to go like 3 times a week
Mm.
because it's something that it's not like us. Oh, I have something on my knee.
Yeah.
No, they have to keep on checking. Is that all right? So it's like imagine like 3 times a week going to this thing. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's a horrific experience for them.
So making these meaningless, weird noises. Which one thing about the insight of this idea is like not just because they're loud, but because they're meaningless. It's just
Hmm.
weird noise. So it gives meaning to them by infusing them into the stories, and that made the experience really better for
And
them.
maybe some of them will become poets later on, in their lives as
Hopefully,
well.
yeah. We
Maybe,
never know.
maybe, you never know, right? Last question. So that's the question that I ask everyone today. If you could choose one technology, existing technology, to remove from the civilization, to remove, from reality. If you had the superpower, click of finger and one technology disappears, what this technology would be?
I think it's for me. It's probably pretty cliche and obvious one, but I think the nuclear weapons, I would just vanish. You have some folks today, in the leadership of main big countries, which if they don't have that nuclear button, they would probably be a better place to live. And I would definitely, I love technologies, even AI that people say, oh, this is it's demonizing AI. I think if you know how to use it and you use it in a good way, could be great. But I can't see a way that nuclear weapons could be used in a good way.
Yes, I agree with you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Great answers, and please enjoy your stay in Warsaw.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.